Having an idea is one thing. Knowing how you're going to monetize it is very different.
Absolutely. We say it all the time. There's no such thing as $1 million idea, only $1 million executions, right? So
Yeah.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset, everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer. Be sure to head over to clicksandbricksacademy.com so you can access all the resources to start improving your sales today.
today we have Sonia Couto with Konverge Digital Solutions. I'll tell you what, this lady is a hustler. She's not the founder of the company, but she has founded a couple of the ideas that the company has run with. How are you doing today, Sonia?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do at Konverge?
Sure. So I am managing director at Konverge. I actually have been working there for 15 years. I started out there as operations manager, and the company has gone through some restructuring, and we had a client that had a very large asset with us, and one of the original founders in around 2014 decided to go elsewhere and start something new. And so they sold their shares to one of our clients who completely bought out the company. And since I had been at the company for so long and I knew our clients, I knew our processes, they asked me to run the company.
Fantastic. That's an honor, right? A little scary. It's happened to me once in my life, and it's a little scary to take the realms of a company that is running. And actually, it's happened to me more than once. And there's a couple of different mindsets there, right? If the company's in bad shape, you're kind of like, all I can do is win. But if it's on a growth pattern, you're like a little scary because, like, man, you can really screw something up if you change too much. So, but you have a pretty unique story. You have new shareholders and a new board of directors, and you have some concepts and ideas that you want to pitch them. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your mindset when you have these new ideas, innovative ideas for products that you want to launch? How did you approach, not just shareholders or a board member, but a new board member, somebody that was previous to your client and now is technically your boss?
Yeah, I mean, just to go back a little, the when I took over the company, it wasn't in the best state that it should have been in. So the first thing that came to mind was, what can I do to elevate, pivot, and take us to the next level? Converge itself, what we do is we build custom software, and you can only go so far with that business. So I thought, with custom, you never really know when your next project's coming in. But if we have, products, we can have reoccurring revenue stream that we can count on. So I already sort of knew that was the route we wanted to go. And we did have this one product that we had started to initiate and think about how to build. And so we saw the opportunity for these products, and we knew that we were going to require investment in order to get them built and get them out to market. So when I approached our board of directors, it was with a plan in place on how this was going to benefit Konverge, who was going to invest in these startups, and how there was a need for these startups in the market. So one of our startups is called MenuSano. It's actually a nutrition analysis software that allows food service industry to get the nutrition analysis and labels that they require for their products so that they can export, they can sell in grocery stores, etc. The way to do that before we came to market was to send food to a lab to get analyzed, which costs thousands of dollars. And with governments changing policies and demanding more food service to provide nutrition information so that healthcare bills can come down and people can make healthier choices, I saw an opportunity to bring a product to market that not only was going to change a traditional industry, so it was a disruptive product, but it was also going to really benefit the health of people who had access to this information. So going to the board of directors with this information and the idea and the concept, not only did we have to present that it was disruptive, but we had to present the opportunity in the market. And so that required a lot of research. I had to have a business plan in place to present that sort of laid out the next 5 years once the product is built, once we get an MVP to market, what are we going to do after the MVP? And so when it was presented with a solid plan on how the investment from the Konverge side would benefit the product, and how going forward Konverge would be a very different type of company versus what it had been for the previous 20 years. And so that really allowed the shareholders saw that this would change the way our business operated versus just building custom software. And it also showed them that there's a possibility for growth into other areas of the business. So we started with, when the company first started, we were just building websites. Then we went into building custom software. And now we are startup builders, and we have a portfolio of startups that are part of the Konverge business. And learning how to build startups is very different than building custom software. So we really had to pivot and learn and change the way we develop, because it's very, very different.
Absolutely. Wildly different. And I've been in the startup game for a very long time as well. And I would say that any company in IT is constantly in the startup phase, right? Because you constantly have to reinvent yourself and stay up to date with today's trends and keep moving forward. And technology is only really relevant for a couple of years anyway before you really have to start upgrading. That is fantastic. So I think some important details for the audience that you would like to understand is that if you're making a presentation to your current board of directors or your current boss, anytime that you can give them a value without spending hard cash. So in this case, they didn't have to spend a whole lot of hard cash, but a lot of resources of people that are potentially sitting idle, right? You want to keep these programmers on staff, so you give them a project that they can work on when you don't have a time and material project in front of you. Is that kind of how you ended up doing that?
We started out that way, but I actually ended up going the route of starting a offshore team. So I assembled a group of developers in Europe that are part of the Konverge company. They're just located there, and they're very talented, but the cost to build out there is a lot cheaper. And so, because I knew, one of the things I learned early on is, when you're building a product, it's never built. There's always going to be continuous expenses, and you're going to keep going and going. And I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable with a team here just in Toronto. So I assembled a second team out in Europe, and that's really where the value came from, because we can continue building, we can continue pivoting the product. I think since we've launched, particularly MenuSano, we've pivoted every year. Every year we bring new features to market. We build modules that we upsell. So there's always value in the products that we're building, because now, I ran the company to be very, very lean, and including the startups. And yes, we did share a lot of resources and developers, particularly our marketing team. They work on all of these multiple projects at once. And so sharing the resources was very valuable, but having these dedicated developers in Europe really helped, because we can build a lot faster than we would if I just had a dedicated team here in Toronto.
Fantastic. I assumed, since you were already doing custom software, that you had an offshore department already. So that was a bad assumption on my side. So with the new product.
No, sure. No, we do have a team here in Toronto as well, but we try to share the resources. We are a Canadian-based company, and we like to have our resources here for our clients who, we need to meet face-to-face. And we're not just about building software built based on a concept. We spend a lot of time with our clients, understanding their needs, understanding what they need to be built, documenting that, and having the team located in North America is very valuable to that. The offshore team, we use them more for, the work that doesn't need to be client facing, that, building infrastructure, building source code. Those are not things that we necessarily need here. But it is extremely valuable for us to say that we are a Canadian-based company, and that the 75% of our resources are here.
Fantastic. So great work. You saw a problem in the in a marketplace. You knew how to create a solution for it. Can you tell the audience a little bit about if you want to do a startup? Now you listed off, you had a business plan, you had all these things right in place, and there's zero doubt in my mind that you knew exactly what you were doing. You had your plan in place, but that is not all entrepreneurs, right? A lot of people have their elevator pitch down, but they don't have a full business plan. So if there were 3 key components, if somebody was coming to Konverge Venture and they're looking for help in getting their business launched, what are the 3 things that you look at closest from that person before you take them on as not a client that just is paying you money, but you're going to get equity in this company, right? So you want to make sure that it's vetted a little more than just somebody that's going to, here's my money, build me this app. This is, now part of your future and you're going to grow together over the long term. What would 3 key components of that person or that team need to have for you to make that investment in them?
Yeah. So the first thing I would look at, entrepreneurs are in general just really excited about the idea. And especially if they think that they have something that doesn't exist and is not out there. One thing that I've learned is if you have an idea, someone else has probably had that idea, so it probably exists already. It doesn't mean that you can't build it and be a competitor or make it better. So the first thing I look at is how excited are this and have they taken the time to really analyze this solution? Number 1, analyzing the solution. Number 2, have they done the market research? Who are their competitors and what are the features that they sell and where are they located and all of those things. So the marketing strategy is super important to me because when I was building startups with Konverge, that was one of the areas that we really failed at because we had this entrepreneur mindset and we were really excited about these ideas that we wanted to build. And we were software developers. So we're like, oh, let's start building. Let's build. Yeah, these ideas are great. And then one of our products, once we took it to market, we realized that nobody wanted it because there was this whole fear factor around using innovation for the solution. And we found out that our audience actually wanted to do it the traditional way by using paper and pen. And we're like, oh, what do we do now? We clearly did not think this through. So I really look at how entrepreneurs have thought the idea through, doing the market research. And then I think the last piece of it that I really look at is how are you going to monetize this system? So I think like 85% of the time when a startup comes to us, they come with this great idea and they want to build it. They're looking for funding to build it, but they don't actually know how they're going to make money from it. And if they don't know that, they have no monetization plan. And that's just because they're so excited about it. But the benefit of working with the Konverge Venture program is that we can actually help startups think all of those things through. So if a company comes to us, a startup comes to us and they present an idea and I see that they haven't thought all of those things through and that their idea is great, we can provide resources to do all of that work to see, how we can take the idea to the next level.
Fantastic. So those 3 key components are knowing your solution. And I think that's really also knowing your problem that you're solving, knowing who's going to buy it. So know your marketing strategy, at least a couple tactics that you should have. Okay, this is the person that's going to be buying this and then how we're going to market it. And then most importantly, how are you going to monetize it, right? And I know that I've done ventures in my life that I did not know how I was going to monetize them. I just knew that it was so much fun to do that I was going to do it no matter what. And we figured that out on the back end. Not the best solution in the world, but it does work if you have the tenacity to push through. So that's fantastic.
It's actually a common problem that I don't think a lot of people know exists. Like having an idea is one thing, knowing how you're going to monetize it is very different.
Absolutely. We say it all the time. There's no such thing as $1 million idea, only $1 million executions, right? So you can have great ideas all day long, but if you don't know how to execute on them, you're going to be just swimming, keeping your head above water barely. You're never going to get above that tow line. So it's wildly important to have those key functions in place. But I think it's really important for people to know that you don't have to have a 25-page business plan. It can be one page, right? It's totally, and I think honestly, if you're looking at venture capital, the simpler you can get your solution, the better off you are. If you have to explain your product and service for 10 or 15 minutes, I think you're losing your venture capital, right? And now, if they're getting into question and answer, and you're really talking about the deep technology that's supporting your idea, and then you probably have an investment coming, because they want to know, okay, this guy, I like this person's idea, I like their concept, but do they really know how to make it work? And that's when they're going to be prying that in. But if you don't have, a really quick one page that understands really the three things that Sonia's talking about, what problem you're solving, who's going to buy it, and how you're going to monetize it, then I think you should probably go back to the drawing table before you ever ask anybody for help or money. Is that a fair statement? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sonia, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you and they had a great idea for a software project, or they needed some help getting the things that you're talking about lined out, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, they can email me. My email is sonia.couto@konverge.com. I'm sure we can provide the spelling of that somewhere. Or you can call me. Our phone number is on our website. I'm always open to having conversations, and I never turn anyone down. Sometimes it does take me a little longer to get back to you, as I do get busy, but I'm happy to have people contact me and pitch their ideas and tell us what their needs are, and see how we can help them get to the next stage.
Fantastic. I think I'm going to send a couple of people your way. I think it's a fantastic thing that you're doing. I love that when companies can create a situation, an environment that helps other people get up on their feet. I think it's really, really important work. Now on to my favorite question, because I love technology. What technology do you see coming in the future that you're the most excited about today?
Okay, so it's not new, but I do see AI, artificial intelligence, in the next 5-10 years really going to the next level. I think we've already seen a huge shift in AI from 10-15 years ago. But I think AI is really going to become a lot more intelligent. It's going to be used on every platform that exists. Right now AI is being used mostly to learn and evolve. But I think, as more robots are being built and more innovation is getting out there, we need to make it easier for people who are using software to, get in there and spend only a couple minutes doing what they need to do, and really use AI to make people's lives easier and be able to do their job faster, not necessarily replace them, but help them be smarter and help them make better decisions and help them, do some of the work so that they don't have to spend all their time thinking about it.
Absolutely.
That sort of excites me.
Yeah, AI
but I'm kind of a nerd, so
right there. So places that you see AI today, and it's kind of clunky AI, right? With your phone trees are a little AI. Little bit of intelligence built into there to get you to the right person when you're doing the text-to-speech stuff. You've got your Alexas in your home and your Google Homes and things like that. But I think where you're leaning is AI mixed with virtual reality and augmented reality and all of this. Right now in today's world, this Internet 3.0 world feels super exciting, right? It's as exciting as domain names were to me in 1999. It's exciting as cryptocurrency was to me in 2010, right? It's really here, and the stuff that Facebook's doing right now is putting gas on the fire for virtual reality worlds, and that's going to mean more AI, all of those things. Before the end of 21, Facebook Horizons opened up in mid-21, late 21, and by the end of 21, there were 6,000 places built by people building inside that world. And not only are they building, but they're building AIs to build for them. Right.
Yeah, I do want to point out that I'm a big believer of responsible technology. So in that sense, I just want to say, when I'm talking about AI, I'm referring to AI that can help people. I know that in social media, social media has grown like crazy in the last couple of years. And there are a lot of people that are a little bothered by it just because it is using AI and really using it to advertise to us. That's how they monetize their platforms. I'm talking more about AI where it's learning from the user that's using it. So I'll give you an example. In one of our products, MenuSano, we collect government sourced open source data, and we bring all of that data from different countries into our platform. And that data is very clunky and it's not organized well, and it's just sort of messy. So we use AI to not only organize the data, but we also use AI to learn from the user. So as an example, if I'm going into our application and I'm looking for eggs, there might be, hundreds of types of eggs that come up, not only chicken, but ostrich and fish eggs, et cetera, et cetera. The AI tool works behind the scenes to learn that every single time I put in eggs, I'm choosing chicken white eggs or chicken brown eggs or maybe fish eggs, and it's collecting all of that data to learn from me. And a couple of weeks down the road after using an application, the system knows that most likely when I put in eggs in that application, the most searched eggs that I search for is white eggs. So it's always going to bring that up. That's AI being smart and making my job easier so that I don't have to go through the whole list.
Absolutely. I think that's a phenomenal explanation of how AI can work. My personal belief on the Facebook AI is that it's manipulated AI for social experiments, and you're right, it's absolutely horrible, a lot of things that are happening in that world. But with all technology, you're going to have people that are pushing the limits on the good side and the bad side. That's my opinion. And I try to really focus on the good side of it. I think there's a lot of great that's going to happen for this, what you're doing with your food stuff. And I know I have a daughter that has a fatal tree nut allergy. So, reading those things and having an application that's very easy to scan and know the manufacturing, where that product was manufactured, where it was shipped from, to make sure it wasn't cross-contaminated, all those things, farm to fork is a big deal today, right? And it's going to continue to get more and more of a big deal, and AI can help us in a lot of those ways. So, and automation, and you should be right now, if you have a business, you should be trying to automate everything you possibly can. If it's any kind of objective work, should be automated away, and have your staff for the subjective stuff, right? The stuff that really takes brain power to think through those things. And as we get further and further into this technology, humans are going to be less needed for work every year after year. And the great resignation is going to continue to happen. And if you want to be in business, you're going to have to adopt these things and really, really push forward. Sonia, thank you so much for your time today and your insight. I absolutely enjoyed myself talking to you. And congratulations on everything that you've done. It's a huge accomplishment, and keep chugging along. Is there anything you would like to leave the audience with before we go?
If anyone has a startup idea that you want to get off the ground and you need investment, reach out to me. If anyone looking to build a custom software application B2B, please reach out to us, see if we can partner and help you get your product launched.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's it for today's show, folks. Again, my name is Ken. This is Clicks and Bricks. And if you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. You can send me any question about business or technology, and I'll give you an absolutely free, unbiased opinion answer back. Might take me a couple of days to get the answer back, but I will get back to you. Thanks a lot, and get to work.